man, if the Silver Surfer would ever have a 3D remake and feature the cast of the Fantastic Four from 2005 and Rise of the Silver Surfer, I would play the heck out of it, man. Welcome back to another chapter of the search for Shalla-Bal. Last time, Terri and Reed have actually used her Astro Wing in order to retrieve Shalla-Bal, who was Norrin's lost love, from Zenn-La. And because Norrin Red has actually disobeyed Galactus and destroyed him, he's actually on exile and he's not allowed to leave the universe that he was in. He's not allowed to leave the Milky Way and make his way to his home world in the Deneb galaxy. So, Terri volunteered to make a space mission to retrieve Shalla-Bal for him, and so that eventually they can live on Mars along with his kind. And they actually found Zenn-La, but they actually had premonitions and nightmares of Shalla-Bal's whereabouts, as did the premonitions that Jartran has called it. They each had different nightmares, and it was leading to different locations. And it was based on the Silver Surfer game, but instead of, repairing pieces of Galactus's machine, it was different locations to search for Shalla-Bal. Because don't forget, this is like a crossover kind of between the infamous NES game and the Fantastic Four. So, let's get this thing started. Alright, Chapter 2. It was a cold April afternoon, and Terri and John Myers were sitting on a bench in Central Park. He said that Reed wanted him to stay at the Baxter Building with Alicia and Frankie while the Fantastic Four lift off through the Aurora Borealis. It should be the Fantastic Five, but Terri actually decided to keep the name for themselves. It was unlikely since he did so much for the team. They walked to the building and then kissed before they went to Reed's laboratory. In the Fantastic car, the team went through the Aurora at the Arctic Circle while Terri followed with the Astro Wing. Norrin was right behind them, and after they left Earth's atmosphere, they saw a huge mothership. Fernand sent many of the military off from Zenn-La so he and his troops would assist the team during their search for Shalla-Bal. They were in awe as they approached the vessel, which could hold up in a crew of 100 people. It also had fuel tanks that could last for thousands of light years. Johnny, trying to be humorous, said, "This place is a bigger show-off than the Von Doom space station." Terri immediately explained, "Well, at least it's just as durable. This mothership was made from the finest resources of what Zenn-La has to offer. The people have worked really hard to make this ship." Before they knew it, they were there. The Fantastic car entered through a slot underneath the ship, followed by the Astro Wing and Norrin. They parked, the slot closed, and Fernand welcomed them. Next, he and Norrin reunited like they were lost brothers. He introduced himself to Sue, Johnny, and Ben as the group walked to the enormous cockpit. It was 10 times bigger than Reed's lab. Fernand showed them a brief tour, and then a skinny figure in uniform showed up. In a perky voice, he introduced himself as Trake, Fernand's first commander of the Zenn-La forces. Trake was actually an OC, by the way. I forgot what he was supposed to look like. He was very fond of Reed when he was introduced as the right-hand man for the mission. When the tour ended, Fernand offered the team to make themselves at home before they reached their first destination, the planet Reptilyx. Each member used a separate room to settle and store their belongings. Reed and Sue, however, shared one as a request from Fernand. A few hours have passed, and Trake announced that they've reached their arrival. In the cockpit, the team saw a small green planet with dark green patches which were tense vegetation, according to Trake. Fernand warned, "This location is inhabited by very ferocious creatures. I want you all to be very careful while you search for Shalla-Bal." Then Johnny added, Let's hope we won't become victims of a feeding frenzy. He received dirty looks by everyone, and they became somber. Finance stated that he has their permission for takeoff. Then Reed suggested that Terri should leave with the Astrowing along with Norrin and any member of the group. She said she'll send a member of the team later whenever she needs help during the expedition. The crew said good luck and they were off to Reptilyx. After they entered the atmosphere, Terri ordered Lucille to open the wings, then check the shields to the Astrowing. Then she and Norrin saw what looked like a small gray military vessel. He nodded to Terri to proceed and she said, "All systems are a go! Let's rock and roll!" They descended on a body of water and a small school of flying fish attacked them. Some were underwater while others broke the surface. "Terri, get back!" Banan said over the speaker to make sure she stayed close to Norrin as they arrived at the military vessel. A lot of reptilian-like creatures attempted to shoot the travelers, but they used a volley of lasers and energy blasts to make a clear path. Soon they left and came across 2 wooden bridges which were accompanied by a few mutant-sized frogs. One landed on the Astrowing, but it shook it off. Then there was a humongous school of flying fish attacking. After a tough, long shootout, they approached a gigantic cannon, which fired on the Astrowing and Norrin. Terri arrived and shot a bomb inside the cannon, and in a few seconds flat, it exploded along with the lizard shooter and the ship he was standing on. They resumed their course and Finian told them they were approaching an area with dense vegetation. He suggested to fly overhead and Terri said it was a good idea so they can find Shalla-Bal easier. They did after they dealt with another school of flying fish. They flew over some trees as Lucille was scanning for Norrin's lost loved one. Suddenly the trees started to shake violently. There were numerous birds fighting them. Some were flocks of Archaeopteryx, others were gigantic pterosaurs. In addition, there were many tanks and cannons firing from below. Next they came to a big desert and an enormous block kept shooting at them with a variety of lasers. Terri had no effect on it as she kept firing at it until she used another bomb to destroy it. The block was still standing and ready to blow as Norrin used an energy blast and Terri's telekinesis. As if it wouldn't take any more, the block bounced backward and then incinerated. Finance said, "The vegetation shouldn't be too dense now. Head for the jungle and search for Shalla-Bal there." The speaker shut off and then it was off to ancient ruins of Reptilyx. Sure enough, they were at a moist, hot jungle with not a lot of vegetation as the last section. Banana was right. They can fly through the jungle with ease. It was like a noisy rainforest as they encountered more flocks of Archaeopteryx and some venomous bats. There were some reptilian forces similar to the ones they dealt with earlier, and there were so many annoying primates. They swung from one tree to the other, and out of nowhere, one landed on top of the Astrowing. "Stay away from me, you barbaric baboons!" cried Terri. She shook and shot off each one. By then her shield gauge indicated it was half empty, but luckily Norrin was there to refill whenever she needed it. He assured her that he can take care of himself against enemy attack. He hasn't fallen off his board yet. They were passing the ancient ruins when they heard a thunderous noise. At times the group shook, and after a while, they were heading to a clearing when they saw an astonishing sight. "Holy smokes! Look at this!" Terri exclaimed as she took photographs of an enormous dinosaur footprint. "This track must be close to 6 feet deep. If there is living proof in which dinosaurs have existed, there it is," she said to Reed at the helm of the mothership. Finian then responded, "There has been no sign of Shalla-Bal anywhere on this planet, regretfully. Return to base. The scanning's complete." Just then they heard trees toppling over, and the sound loomed closer and closer. She and Norrin stopped to see what was causing all that ruckus. They saw a green 50-foot T-Rex roaming around. Terri said in a startled voice not to move as the T-Rex could see them when in motion. Soon it came close to the astrowing, and then it let out a piercing roar. Terri covered her ears and she saw that its teeth were like gigantic knives, almost 50 inches long. It looked closely inside and then it tried to swap at it like as if the ship was a fly. The T-Rex reptile missed and she declared, "If it's a fight you want, if it's a fight you'll get." Norrin and Terri made a break for it, then Reptile gave chase. Lucille, at Terry's order, initiated the ship for all range mode, instead of just going one way. The wings extended, and the vessel went faster and more agile. "Bogey on my tail! Ben, I need your help to shake him off!" Banan replied that he's on his way. Reptile tried to bite the astrowing, but it sped up, turned, and started shooting a volley of lasers. Nearly affected it, though. Then the T-Rex was slapped in the face and started to chase Norrin. This was her moment to fly away and search for Ben, but he never showed up. Suddenly, Reptile opened its mouth and an energy beam shot out toward the astrowing. Terri avoided and said, "Whoa! Even its breath is a weapon!" The vessel made a half-loop U-turn as she tried to shoot at Reptile again. It chased her with fury. The astrowing took damage and started to slow down. Then Ben grabbed the T-Rex's tail and let out a high-pitched scream. It tried relentlessly to shake him off. Then Terri went around and headed for the bad boy. "What are you doing?" "I have an idea." The T-Rex opened its mouth and immediately closed it, then swallowed what was in its mouth. The astrowing descended and opened the hatch. "Quick, Ben, get in!" He immediately stepped in and off they went with the surfer behind them. Reptile looked up and realized what was inside was a bomb Terri shot. In agony, it let out a menacing roar, then its body exploded. Norrin and the astrowing stopped and looked at the damage being done. They were in awe, and then the clearing was covered by ants. Actually, it was the entire mod squad checking the mess. "Maybe we should leave." In response, Ben said it was a good idea. The gang left Reptilyx and returned to the mothership through the underslot. She parked and went to the cockpit along with Ben and Norrin beside her. They walked to the main room where Fanan, Trake, and the others welcomed them with glee. Johnny chimed in, "That was one cool stunt you pulled." Terri thanked him for the compliment. Fanan sighed. "Well, looks like Reptilyx didn't have her, but don't get discouraged. Our next assignment is this heading," he said, showing a red planet. "This is the place where Elmar had her premonition. I hope Mom's right." Because of the environment, Terri requested that Johnny should go. However, she was uncertain whether or not her astrowing can take the heat for the second mission. This was a lot easier to work on, so the first planet Reptilyx was the name I made up. It was the first destination. Reptile was a mashup from the T-Rex in Jurassic Park and Usaru from Dragon Ball Z. Or Uzaro, actually. Though its name was Reptile in the game, I wanted to make the story similar to both the game and Star Fox. If it was made in 3D, it could be a hit. The block machine was similar to the annoying enemies from Code Lyoko, and I tried to make the sections similar like the ones in the Silver Surfer game. And Drake was a military OC, the name I wanted to make more unique to Drake and Jake, but I figured that the T would be stronger. Again, thank you, Sir, for re-uploading this, because I was close to losing that story way back. And I hope I'll get the next chapter done soon. Also, the music is like the only redeeming factor to the game, as it's repetitive but very catchy. Thanks for reading. Until then, this is the Ekron Rider signing out. Stay tuned for the third mission. Hold on a sec, guys.